Good day everyone. Welcome to our Teacher's Methodology 1 orientation. I am Ellen Therese Belangel and I will discuss or present the overview on competency-based training. Competency-based training (CBT) is a training delivery approach that focuses on the competency development of the learner as a result of the training. Competency-based training emphasizes on what the learner can actually do, focuses on outcomes rather than the learning process within a specified time. It is also concerned with the attainment and application of knowledge, skills, and attitude to specific level of competencies. There are benefits of competency-based training. These are the benefits of competency-based training. It is cost effectiveness, efficiency, increased productivity, improved profitability, reduced risk, increased customer satisfaction. There are 10 principles of competency-based training. Number 1, the training is based on curriculum developed from the competency standards. Number 2, learning is modular in its structure. Number 3, training delivery is learner-centered, should accommodate individualized and self-paced learning strategies. Number 4, training is based on work that must be performed. Number 5, training materials are directly related to competency standards and curriculum modules. Number 6, assessment is based in the collection of evidence of the performance of work to work the industry required standard. Number 7, training is based both on the off-job components. Number 8, training programs allow for recognition of prior learning or RPL or current competencies. Number 9, training allows for multiple entry and exit. Number 10, training programs are registered with the UTPRAS. That's all in my part. Now Ms. Camille Pabustan will present the training delivery modes.
Good day everyone, I am Camille Pabustan. Today I will present to you the training delivery modes. The competency-based VET system recognizes various types of delivery modes, both on and off the job as long as the learning is driven by the competency standards specified by the industry. The following training modalities may be adapted when designing training programs. The first training delivery mode is the dualized mode of training delivery. The dualized mode of training delivery is preferred and recommended. Thus, programs would contain in-school and in-industry training or fieldwork components. Details can be referred to the Dual Training System or DTS implementing rules and regulations. The next is modular or self-paced learning. It is a competency-based training modality wherein the trainee is allowed to progress at his own pace. The trainer just facilitates the training delivery. Peer teaching or mentoring. It is a training modality wherein fast learners are given the opportunity to assist the slow learners. Supervised industry training or on-the-job training, it is an approach in training design to enhance the knowledge and skills of the trainee through actual experience in the workplace to acquire specific competencies prescribed in the training regulations. The fifth training delivery mode is the distance learning. It is a formal education process in which majority of the instruction occurs when the students and instructor are not in the same place. Distance learning may employ correspondence study or audio, video, or computer technologies. Lastly, the project-based instruction training delivery mode. It is an authentic instructional model or strategy in which students plan, implement, and evaluate projects that have real applications. And those are the 6 training delivery modes.
Thank you, Ms. Camille. Ms. Jocelyn Nicolas will present the planned training sessions.
Planning training session. Planning training session, you need to develop a data gathering tool for trainees' characteristic, prepare training needs analysis, make session plan, develop information sheet, develop a task sheet, develop operation sheet, develop job sheet, prepare evidence plan, prepare table of specification, prepare inventory training resources, and plan a workshop shop layout. One important part of planning a training session is to analyze trainees' characteristics. Here are the performance objectives that you will need in developing a data gathering tool for trainees' characteristics. Given the qualification you are assigned to, you should be able to develop a data gathering tools for trainees' characteristics that is suitable for the learners that you have in your region or area of operation. In prepared training needs analysis form, you will need to identify trainees' training requirements. Your performance objective is given the sample forms for identifying training needs analysis. You should be able to make forms 4.1, 4.2, 4.3, and 4.4 for the qualification you are assigned to. Session plan is simply stated, clearly written, and the flexible trainer aid for conducting a session or module. In making a session plan, here's your performance objective. Given one learning outcome of the competency of your qualification, you should be able to draft a session plan following the prescribed template. An information sheet for all the content. You should follow all the standard format and guidelines. Task sheet is a set of instructions telling the trainee to perform a single task. To develop a task sheet following a standard format. An operation sheet is a set of instructions for the operation of use of particular machine or equipment. To develop an operation sheet, you should follow required formats and guidelines. A job sheet integrates tasks and operation. Given performance objective, given one competency of your qualification, you should be able to develop a job sheet following a standard format. In making an evidence plan, you should have the competency standards of the chosen competency and the evidence plan template. Objective: given one competency of the qualification assigned to you, you should be able to prepare a table of specification. A table of specification is a two-way table that matches the objectives or content you have taught with the level at which you expect a student to perform. You should be able to make an inventory of training resources per competency in your workshop using the template provided. It would be very helpful in planning your workstation and your learning activities. Workshop layout in CBT. This is well-organized physical learning and environment. A well-organized and managed workshop is critical to the acquisition of skills. Your performance objective: given the qualification assigned to you, you should be able to make a workshop layout that conforms to the principles of CBT.
May I call on Ms. Kimberly Nino to discuss how to facilitate learning sessions.
Facilitate learning sessions. In facilitate learning sessions, you need to prepare training matrix, conduct pre-assessment, prepare a demonstration performance method training session, prepare progress chart, prepare achievement chart, facilitate training session, focus group discussion on facilitate training session, conduct institutional competency evaluation, analyze pre-test or post-test results, and last is analyze training evaluation. Prepare training matrix. So the following training activity matrix is recommended to schedule and monitor the use of the facilities and resources. This matrix is a monitoring tool of training activities for the trainer. Conduct pre-assessment. Pre-assessment is a very important process in CBT. This is very critical for the identification of training needs and appropriate methods of training for each individual trainee. So, the following are some of the purpose of pre-assessment. First, to determine trainees' characteristics. Second, to recognize prior learning. And third, to determine training needs. Prepare a demonstration performance method training session. Here's the performance objective that you will need in prepare a demonstration performance method training session. Given a skill in the qualification assigned to you, you should be able to demonstrate how to use demonstration method in training following recommended steps. Next is prepare progress chart. In the guidelines in making the progress chart, first, the qualification title should be written on top. Second, it should contain all the learning outcomes as reflected in the training regulation. Third, the training duration reflects the nominal duration of the qualification. And fourth, all trainers involved in the training are reflected in space provided. In here, prepare achievement chart. The achievement chart is most recommended especially for qualifications that requires many activities and requirements to finish a learning outcome. Often, if this happens, your trainees will not see progress on the progress chart. Facilitate training session. In facilitating training session, its performance objective is given trainees for your qualification, you must be able to facilitate one training session using the competency-based training delivery approach. So when we say facilitate means to make easier. A good facilitator makes learning easier for the participants in the training session. Next is undergo focus group discussion on facilitate training session. In training, we would like to use this method to discuss the result of evaluation on the demonstration of trainers to improve their skills in facilitating training sessions and CBT implementation as a whole. Conduct institutional competency evaluation. In here, it is done to check whether the competency set in the training regulations and the competency-based curriculum is met by the trainee. It is one of the bases for giving the certificate of achievement to the trainee. Next is analyze pre-test or post-test results. Pre-test or post-test is not limited to written tests. Performance tests can also be used, but for our purpose, we will use the written test as a measure of knowledge. And the last is about analyze training evaluation. Training evaluation objective is a statement of what change in the trainee are expected to be achieved and the cost of such change. The practical purpose of training evaluation is to verify if the training objectives were achieved at the end of a training activity.
Okay, now Ms. Blisilda Valdez will discuss how to supervise work-based learning.
Hello, I'm Lucilda Ibanez and I will going to discuss the supervised work-based learning. So let's start to the job sheet 4.1 to 4. Trainees training requirements. Learning objectives determine the current competencies of the trainees group or trainees. Identify trainees training requirements. So every training should be based on what was already learned and what needs to be learned or enhanced. Whether your work-based is in conjunction with in-house training or work-based training after in-house training, you need to assess the training needs of each your trainee so that you will be able to plan the appropriate activities that will enhance their competencies. In this lesson, recommended steps in determining training needs are discussed as your guide in accomplishing this in the end. So the trainer can be determine trainee's current competency by number one, checking with the trainee. So when you're checking the trainee, subject them into an oral interview or a simple written test if needed. If the learner is having hard time to write or understand English language, use a simple language that the learner may easily understand, like using local dialect. And number two, research. Analyze any pre-session information available like enrollment or pre-application form and other related documents such as ano, like for example, mm, resume or curriculum vitae or performance report from supervisor like that. So the trainer could also use self-assessment checklist to determine the current competencies of the trainees. How, how to prepare checklist? List down all the competencies found in the training regulation of a particular qualification. Let the trainees answer by checking the appropriate box. If yes, he or she can perform the task, and no, if he or she cannot perform the task. So, I have example here. Ayan po. And next po. After determining the trainee's current competency, you may now identify the gap between the required competencies as defined by the unit of competencies and the learner's current competencies. The gap between the required competencies and current competencies is the portion of skills and knowledge of the trainee needs to achieve to be recognized as competent competent in a particular job. So here the example of the gap. Ayan po. So the training requirements can be validated with the following, like teacher, professor, trainers, team, leader, supervisor, technical expert, yan, ganyan, and etc. And note lang po, before we proceed to the next job sheet. So the training gap should be matched with the module title, module of instruction of the unit of competency, and the nominal duration. So let's proceed to job sheet 4.1 to 5 training plan. Learning objectives, define a training plan, differentiate a training plan from session plan, identify the parts of the training plan, and describe how to accomplish each column of the training plan. What is training plan, or what to include in the training plan, who is responsible for the delivery and assessment of each competencies. So before deploying your trainees to their industry training, a true planning based on their training is very important. This plan shall serve as an agreement between the industry and your training institution. This will serve as a guide in the implementation of the industry training of the individual trainee. So in this lesson, you will able to learn how a training plan is accomplished. Training plan is a description of how the training will be done, the flow of training from input to the end result, including the resources that will be used. The objective of the training plan is to define the strategies, tasks, and methods that will be used to meet the training requirements. So the training plan must specify by the following: the competencies to be obtained, the time frame for achieving the competencies, and the training to be undertaken, the delivery modes to be employed, assessment, details and arrangement, the name of the qualification to be used, and lastly, any other specific requirements to be met in accordance with the particular training contract in question. And take note din po na you should familiarize the steps in preparing a training plan. I have a example of training plan here po. Ayan. Nakikita po ba natin? And now, let's move on to the next job sheet, 4.22A, entitled Prepare Trainees Record Book. Learning objectives, identify tools for monitoring work-based training, explain the importance of monitoring training activities in work-based training. So, training design always involves gathering or data planning, implementation, monitoring, and evaluation. In the previous lesson, we discussed or we learned how to gather training needs, develop the training plan, and prepare facilities for training. Trainees Record Book, or TRB, the objective of this is training record book is to record the achievement of competencies agreed within the training plan while in the industry. So, I have picture of trainees record book na pwedeng maging itsura or maging flow ng record book. Ayan, my name, qualification, training, duration, and the trainer, the name of the trainer. So, let's move on to the job sheet. Last job sheet that I will be discussed, and the following discussion is the task sheet. So, the last job sheet that I will discuss is job sheet 4.2 to 2B. Trainees progress sheet. So, progress chart can be for an individual trainee or for a group of trainees. For individual trainees, use the trainees progress sheet. For a class, use the class progress. The class progress chart is more appropriately used in a workshop where all the trainees train. This is a record and monitor of the learning outcomes accomplished by the trainees. In work-based training, the trainee's progress sheet is more appropriately used. This is a monitor of individual accomplishment as per training plan. This is accomplished by the training supervisor and monitored by the trainer or the industry coordinator of the training institution. Data on the progress sheet should summarize the data in the trainee's record book. So, note lang po ulit, you just familiarize the steps in preparing accomplishing the trainee's progress monitoring chart. So, I have picture here po. Ayan. Trainee's progress sheet. Ayan po yung magiging itsura niya. Or parang magka-idea lang po kayo kung ano po yung magiging itsura ng trainee's progress sheet. The first and last task sheet that I will be discussed is 4.232. The first and last task sheet that I will be discussed is task sheet 4.322. Interpret and analyze program evaluation. So, learning objectives. Interpret the evaluation result and analyze evaluation result. Evaluation tools are effective instruments of evaluation. Its interpretation and analysis are equally important. Analyzing and interpreting data, basic analysis of qualitative information. For information other than commentary, for example, ratings, ranking, yan. Ganyan po. Or yes or no, ganun. So, in this lesson, you will learn how to interpret and analyze data. Once the evaluation tools have been administered, it is now the time to analyze and interpret the data collected. Analyzing qualitative and quantitative data is often the topic of advanced research and evaluation methods. There are certain basics which can help you to make sense of streams of data. So this lesson will help you to organize your data and focus your analysis. For example, if you want to improve your program by identifying your strengths and weaknesses, you can organize data in two programs, strengths and weaknesses, and suggestion to improve the program. So, number one, to make your copies of your data and store the master copy away. Use the copy for making edits, cutting, and pasting, and etc. And number two, tabulate information, add up the number of ratings, rankings, yes or no for each question. For ratings and rankings, consider computing mean or average of each question. For example, the average ranking was 2.4. This is more meaningful than indicating, for example, how many respondents ranked 1, 2, or 3. Ganun po. So, I have picture of the interpret and analyze program evaluation. Yung may mga ano na po yan. Nakasagot. So, that's end of my topic po. Hope you enjoy and God bless.
Thank you. Now, Miss Michal Sunga, can you tell us how to conduct competency assessment?
Good day, everyone. I'm Helmi Sunga, and I will discussing conducting competency assessment. What is competency-based assessment? The process of gathering data and drawing judgments about the nature and extent of the learner's progress toward professional standard is known as competency-based assessment. Task sheet 1.2. Preparing candidates. Before the assessor begins gathering evidence, one of the most crucial steps in conducting an assessment is preparing the candidate. Remember that before beginning the competency assessment exercise, you must create a conductive environment. You must make sure that the setting is appropriate from the assessment and that the candidates are easy. Preparing candidate for assessment following the step listed below. First, explain the context and purpose of the assessment to candidates in line with the requirements of the relevant assessment guidelines. Two is determine the needs of the candidates to establish any allowable adjustment in the assessment procedures. Three, convey information using verbal and non-verbal language to promote a supportive assessment environment. 4. Explain the legal and ethical responsibilities associated with the assessment to the candidates in line with the relevant assessment guidelines. Last is explain the competency standard to be assessed and the evidence to be collected to the candidate as contained in the assessment guidelines. Task sheet 1.3 Gathering evidence. When gathering evidence, follow these steps. First is accumulate evidence that the elements performance requirements range of variables and evidence guide are compatible with the applicable competency units. Two is gathering evidence that is sufficient and has the following qualities: validity, consistency, currency, recency, and authenticity. Three is gathering evidence in terms of the four dimensions of competency. Four is gathering other evidence to support other evidence. Task sheet 4.1 Making assessment decision. Make an assessment decision using the criteria stated below after acquiring evidence. First is analyze the evidence in relation to the relevance units of competency elements, performance criteria, and range of variables and evidence guide. Two is assess the efficiency, authenticity, coherence, currency, and validity of the evidence. Four is evaluate evidence in terms of the four dimensions of competency. Four is analyze another evidence to support another evidence. Task sheet 1.5 Filling up the competency assessment results summary cars. The competency assessors responsibility is to ensure that the competency assessment result summary is accurate and thorough cars. Task sheet number 1.52 Recording and reporting assessment results. You will be introduced to the step-by-step process for reporting and recording assessment results after learning all the necessary forms for recording and reporting competency assessment results. Procedures for recording and report assessment results. Prepare the necessary assessment reports. First is record the assessment outcome using the prescribed rating sheet. To ensure rating sheets are signed by the candidate after providing feedback. 3 is main records of the assessment procedures, evidence collected, and assessment outcomes. 4 is accomplish the competency assessment result summary. 5 is submit to CAC manager assessment reports and documents including recommend issues of national certificate of competency if candidate is found competent. Accomplish at attendance sheets. Next naman is task sheet number 1.61 Providing feedback to candidate. Effective feedback should be given as soon as possible. The longer the delay between the candidate assessment and feedback, the longer they will continue to have some misconceptions. Also, delay reduce the relationship between candidates' performance and the feedback, and the candidate might not remember that the thinking during the evaluations. You will now provide your candidate with the feedback you recorded for the assessment outcomes, the including giving the candidate clear and useful feedback on the assessment decision, information on how to fill any competency gaps identified by the assessment, the chance to discuss the assessment process and outcome, information on how to request COC, NC at TESDA or PO and DO, and the opportunity to discuss the assessment process and outcome. Job sheet number 1.11, conducting competency assessment. Given a candidate assessment venue, assessment package, and written tools, you are to conduct assessment of your qualification following the procedure presented. These are the prepare candidate, gathering evidence, make assessment decision, record assessment result, and provide feedback to candidates. The trainer will evaluate the performance of the trainee using a checklist.
Now, Miss Diana Lin will discuss how to maintain training facilities.
Maintain training facilities. In maintain training facilities covers the knowledge, skills, and attitude required of a trainee to perform tasks and activities, to keep the training environment in a functional and safe condition. The learning outcomes of maintained training facilities. Upon completion of this, the student or the trainees must be able to first plan maintenance activities, the second implement housekeeping activities, the third one is maintain training equipment and tools, and the last one is document maintenance inspection. These are the example of training facilities and training equipment. In training facilities and equipment, trainers, as they embark on teaching and learning activities, are also involved in the maintenance and upkeep of the workshop, classroom, and its surroundings, especially in small training centers. They must ensure that facilities, equipment, and tools are adequately available and in operating condition. Importance of maintenance. Maintenance is an excellent means of improving the performance and condition of equipment and facilities. An effective maintenance program identifies problems long before any equipment or facilities break down or deteriorate. In the growth of interest maintenance, we have the technological development, increasingly expensive raw materials, greater complication, increased fixed costs, reduced delay activities, and eradicate incomplete work, and the last one, environmental concern. Maintain methods and system. There are different methods, system, and techniques being applied in the maintenance of the training facilities and equipment, such as the reliability-centered maintenance or the RCM, predictive maintenance, the PDM, the preventive maintenance, the PM, and the total productive maintenance. The most popular are the quality management system and the 5S of housekeeping. Okay, let's proceed and implement housekeeping activities. In this, we have occupational health and safety and waste management. Okay, in occupational health and safety, or OHS, is a cross-disciplinary are concerned with protecting the safety, health, and welfare of people engaged work or employment. Knowing OHS is essential to minimize the hazard and risk not only to students, trainers, and other people within the training institution, but others who will be affected. Waste management. In the maintenance of training facilities, concern on waste management is vital. Improper or the mega dosage use of cleaning chemicals, mounting packaging materials of delivered equipment or tools, and empty of use container, limited storing, recycle, and disposal area of waste coming from training workshop. It is welding stops, electronic devices are few of the issues to be dealt within this topic. Okay, let's proceed in maintain training equipment and tools. In this, we have the types of maintenance and maintenance practices and procedure. Okay, in this picture, we have the types of maintenance. Maintenance is a work that is done regularly to keep equipment, building, and grounds in good condition and working order. We need to learn the different kinds of maintenance in order to identify the activities and proper procedure in the management of the facilities, as well as the time, money, and material involved. Maintain procedure and practices. It is important to learn the different procedure and practices in the maintenance of training equipment in order to draw from this and plan the suitable maintenance program for our own organizations. Okay, let's proceed in document maintenance inspection. In this, we have the document of inspection and maintenance. Documentation of inspection and maintenance. There is a need to put into writing the different activities pertaining to the maintenance of the facilities and equipment and other learning materials in the training institution, explaining how your system works, how to use such facility and equipment, how to maintain and how to dispose them in their useful life has ended. Complete, accurate, and current documentation is essential to an effective maintenance program.
Thank you. Lastly, Ms. Micaela Valencia will tell us how to utilize electronic media in facilitating training.
Utilizing electronic media in facilitating training. Utilizing electronic media in facilitating training is one of the competencies of trainers methodology of level 1, a course which compromises the knowledge, skills, and attitude required for TVET trainer to possess. In this module covers the skills and knowledge and attitude required in advanced training environment using electronic media in facilitating training, including operation, maintenance of the computer. In order to do, the trainer must have prerequisite learning about utilizing electronic. For example, the possible activity would be held is about how to operate a video camera recorder. Therefore, you must have know how to operate a video camera. However, in this module, you must proceed first in the description of the activity before you will jump off to the activity. This competency will help the trainer to gain his or her knowledge and skills, as well the attitude, and as well the experience of learning about utilizing electronic media in trainers' methodology in level 1.
So, thank you very much for listening, and I hope you learn a lot in this orientation. Thank you, everyone, and God bless.